You could probably read this better than I do. Jean, J-E-A-N, Germain, had been assassinated in Algiers on Christmas Eve, and it wasn't clear what kind of reception you would get. We did have a traditional Christmas dinner and courtship on Christmas Day. I think you'd do better to read this, because you can copy whatever you want to.
Will we read it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to show you where this begins. It begins right here, and it goes over. It goes over to here.
Okay. Right at my nursing career. It starts at my nursing career.
No, it's
My first assignment.
yes.
Okay. My first assignment was to Camp PEAY in Tullahoma, Tennessee. I took my oath of office on February 21st, 1941, proceeded to train to Tennessee. When we got to Camp PEAY, the name had been changed to Camp Forest. I stayed there for 22 months, during which I was promoted to first lieutenant and eventually to captain. Several months after my promotion to first captain, I received orders in early December to proceed to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, to join the 500-bed 40th Station Hospital unit as chief nurse. Camp Kilmer was the pits. It was the least accommodating, most uncomfortable billet I've ever experienced in 5 years in the service. I joined my unit on December 6th, and on December 12th, we were boarded a troop ship for an unknown to us destination. Throughout the voyage, we were required to wear helmets and life preservers, to carry canteens full of water at all times. We had many lifeboat drills also. We sailed under strict blackout conditions. We reached Mers el Khyber, the port of Oran in Algeria, on December 25th of 1942. We couldn't embark until the next day because French Admiral Jean Derlan had been assassinated in Algiers on Christmas Eve, and it wasn't clear what kind of reception we'd get. We did have traditional Christmas dinner on board ship on Christmas Day. We were in Algeria, then French North Africa for 13 months, first on a mudflat in St. Cloud, then in Arzew for a while, where we lived in old French foreign barracks, and finally in the city of Mostaganem, almost 25 miles east of Oran. From Mostaganem, we went by plane to the island Corsica, where we stayed in several locations. Locations for another 13 months. Our most interesting experience on Corsica was the reception of a shipload of D-Day casualties from the invasion of southern France on June 4th, 1944. The casualties were young German soldiers, extensive burns from jumping into the sea in Normandy, which is literally on fire. All swathed in mechanics' waste and bandages, they looked like the Michelin men. The nurses, of course, wanted to work around the clock, but in the interest of preventing exhaustion, made them adhere to the regular 8-hour shifts. We coped very well. After the Battle of the Bulge, which began on December 16th of 1944, we were again on the move, this time to Italy outside of Rome. We lived and set up our hospital in what had been Mussolini's glass factory, where all personnel in the hospital was housed in buildings. We did go into Rome to visit the Vatican and other points of interest like the Trevi Fountain and the Poet's Steps. The most memorable personal experience was flying over the Pope's summer home at Castle Gandolfo. In the fiery, seething cauldron of Mount Vesuvius, and the plexiglass nose of a B-17 piloted by an Air Force general who was a friend of our commanding officer. Frankly, that was like sailing through space on a flying carpet. Germany surrendered unconditionally on May 7th of 1945, so the war in Europe and the European theater of war was over. In July 1945, after 9 months in Rome, we moved to Naples. We did not set up a hospital in Naples. Most of the time was spent in watching training films and wondering what was next for us. The plan was that those with the longest length of service would eventually go home, and others would be sent to the Pacific Theater. However, that never happened because on August 14th, the Pacific War was over, and eventually everyone was sent home. In November 1946, I was promoted to the rank of major. Throughout our overseas duty, the nurses were adequately clothed in government-issued GI duty uniforms and outerwear. We always had sheltered living quarters, whether in tents or in buildings. Toilet facilities were latrines if we lived in tents, or regular bathrooms if we lived in buildings. Food was adequate, well prepared, and good. We used our mess kits only occasionally when we were breaking camp in our location and preparing to move on. The hospital, whatever the setting, was provided with all the necessary equipment. The welfare of all the personnel was a priority for the commanding officer, down through the ranks. My post-war nursing experience was all in teaching and administration. Would you like me to continue?
No, that was all things after my life in service. I'm sure you must have some questions.
Yes. So, did you ever see combat where you were? Like, were you far enough away from it?
No, we were not. I never saw combat. No.
Okay.
We were in a safe area.
Did you ever fear that perhaps, like, any type of combat would come to you, like,
well, yes,
accidentally?
we did, because we had many air passes over us.
Yeah.
Which we were in danger of getting shot or whatever they did from the air. We were on the alert all the time, because being where we were in a safe area, but we never knew when it might become unsafe.
So I understand when you were on the ship heading towards Europe, you didn't know that you were possibly headed towards Europe. So were you scared? Were you excited? Did you ever feel any sense of adventure, or were you mostly just like, oh dear?
On the ship going over, we were constantly in danger because we were on the ocean, and the ocean wherever we were between America and North Africa was constantly being occupied by submarines, German submarines, and we never knew when we might meet German ships even and be encountered by them, but we never were. It was really, we didn't feel in danger all the time. I mean, we didn't have a sense of being watched by the Germans all the time.
I understand you had 3 brothers in the service?
I had 3 brothers in the service.
Did you have any other siblings?
I had 2 sisters and 4 brothers. The 3 of my brothers were in the service. 1 in the Pacific area and 2 in the European area.
Did they survive the war?
Oh, yes.
Good. Did you, when you went to college and you got your degree and everything, did you sign up for the war willingly, or was there a type of, like, draft?
Oh, there was no draft.
Okay.
There's never a draft for nurses.
Okay. Did you have any friends that were also in the service with you?
Well, I made friends in the service, but they had not been, I didn't know them before I went into the service.
Okay.
And I have survived all of them.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's good and bad. What were you feeling and what went through your mind on December 7th, 1941?
On December 7th, 1941, I was still in this country, and I remember that day very well. It was Sunday, and I was going off duty at 3:30 in the afternoon, and nurses coming on duty were crying, and I said, "What's the matter? What happened?" And they told me that Pearl Harbor had been attacked by the Japanese, and the nurses, and we were well taken care of, but the nurses in the Pacific Theater were not so well taken care of. They were in charge of General MacArthur, and MacArthur one night after this happened, after Pearl Harbor happened, got on a submarine and went to Australia and left his soldiers and his nurses there at the mercy of the Japanese.
Where were you at that time?
I was at Camp Forest, Tennessee, in this country.
Okay. Did your family know that you were headed towards war as a nurse?
Did my family know what?
Did your family know that you were signing up for the war?
Yes, they knew.
Were they concerned and scared?
Well, my father was a little bit concerned because he said, Catherine, once you do this, you're theirs. You belong to them. You don't have any say in what's going to happen to you, which was true.
Mm-hmm. Was there any way you could maybe decide where you wanted to go? Like if there was maybe a sign-up sheet to go to Europe or to Italy or Africa, or was it mostly just you kind of were sent there?
You went, they sent you.
Yeah.
They owned you, remember?
Oh. Did you ever feel through everything that you saw, did you ever feel just trying to give up or try to walk away and or were you always just kind of nope, this is my job, this is what I have to do?
So,
yeah.
And the other thing was, when we signed up in the beginning, we signed up for 1 year. We weren't anticipating the war. See, I was in two years before Pearl Harbor, and the war didn't start. We didn't declare war against, we declared war against Japan, and then we were in the war, and we were there supposedly for as long as the war lasted.
Yeah. What do you recall your feelings when FDR died?
Yeah.
When Franklin Roosevelt died, do you recall your feelings?
Well, we were all very sad. A lot of us had never had any other president except Franklin D. Roosevelt. And we were
Do you because he was in office for so long, do you feel like he did a lot for the country and he was all the decisions that he made, not all, but most of his decisions that he made were very good in considering the situations?
Yes, we did feel that.
What did you think about Truman's decision to use atomic force against Japan?
Well, you thought it was a very bad thing to do because of all the it saved more lives than it cost because it stopped the war in Japan immediately.
Did you, I know you visited the Vatican and everything, did you ever find that you were just kind of ever overcome with wow, I'm in Europe, were you ever excited to be there because it's a new place, and ever have any pleasant recollections from that time?
Well, I have a lot of pleasant recollections from that time, positive recollections from that time. The country was beautiful, for one thing, and we could get around. I mean, we weren't stuck in one little spot all the time. We could travel to other places. In other words, I don't quite understand your question.
Describe for people like us, or young people, why we shouldn't regard the War II era as ancient history and why we should certainly learn about it?
Well, it was very much in the present. I mean, there was nothing ancient about it. I mean, there were ancient places there, but there were people who were living at the same time that we were living, and they were modern in their area. Maybe not in ours, but they were living in modern times in their area. Nothing ancient about it, really.
Did you ever, as being a nurse, did you ever encounter any situations where it was just like the patient was so badly injured that you just couldn't deal with it, or did you just kind of put on a shield and just do it?
We did whatever we could, and if we had someone who was that badly injured, that person was sent on to another hospital where they could get more care and we could give them.
Okay. As a chief nurse, how many people, were you in charge of all the other nurses?
Yes, I was in charge of 55 women.
Okay. Who are your superiors?
Well, the people who were in charge of the hospital, like the colonel and his assistants.
Okay. Can you describe the structure of military nursing, you have the colonel and lieutenant, all that kind of stuff. Can you just describe that?
It was just like any other job, actually. There was somebody in charge of the whole hospital, the whole complement of enlisted men and officers and nurses. That was the colonel, and he had an adjutant who was his assistant, and then there were other people down the line. There were people in charge of the rations, the feeding of the people, and the running of the camp, and which I didn't have anything to do with. The only thing I was in charge of was what went on in the hospital. And then there were people over me who were in charge of the whole unit, one unit, that's what we called it.
Okay. You spent time in, I understand, North Africa and Italy. How much time did you spend there?
I spent 13 months in North Africa, and 13 months on the island of Corsica, and 13 months about 9 months, I guess, in Rome and Naples.
Did you ever treat any civilians that were refugees of those countries?
We didn't see refugees, no.
Okay. Did you have to treat any POWs from the enemy countries?
Yes, we had POWs from Italy and I think from Yugoslavia.
So, were you trained to? Did you do any surgeries, in those combat hospitals, or was it mostly just kind of making sure that the patient was comfortable and then moving on to the next one?
Yeah, we had a surgical unit.
Okay.
And actually, within the hospital itself, we had the surgical unit, but we also took care of patients recovering from wounds, and when they were ready to go back to duty, they were sent back to duty. And if they were too seriously hurt, they went on to a general hospital, which would be, in our case, it was in London.
At what place when you were stationed did you see the most casualties?
I didn't get that.
At what place that you were stationed in did you see more patients?
Well, we went from 250 patients to 500. So as the war went on, we got more and more patients. Our hospital got bigger. And sometimes our hospital was in tents, and other times it was in buildings. For example, I'm trying to think, in Corsica, on the island of Corsica, we were in tents all the time, and that was interesting. And one time, the island of Corsica is not very far from, it's sort of partway between Europe and North Africa. And we had a big wind one day. I think they call it a Soroka, S-I-R-O-C, and it blew down all of our tents. And nobody got hurt, but we had to get the tents up again and get the place, back in order. Just like we have big winds here that destroy towns, well, they kind of destroyed our superstructure because everything was in tents and they were all blown down.
Did you ever donate any blood or plasma?
Any what?
Did you ever donate blood or plasma?
No, I never had to.
Did you have any contact with your family back home while you were still in service?
Well, I met a few people that I knew from home.
Were you able to have enough time to write any letters home or?
Well, we wrote letters constantly back and forth. And actually, did you ever see MASH on television?
No.
Well, there are reruns of it. Look at a couple of reruns, because they're on television all the time. And while we weren't exactly like MASH, which was a medical unit out in the war area, we did have mail call. And mail call was the most important thing in the day, because we might be getting letters from home.
Did you have any contact with your brothers that were in service while you were also in service?
Not actual contact, because my brother John, who was the oldest of my three brothers who were in service, was in the Pacific Theater, and he was in the Navy. But we wrote letters back and forth. But that was all. We had no personal contact. We were too far apart.
How did you feel when the war finally ended?
Very, very happy.
Did you all excited you get to go home and see your family and everything? Yeah. Do you feel like because the help and the work that the nurses gave throughout the war, do you think it helps society view women in a better light and not so more intelligent and sophisticated light, and help further advance women's rights and everything?
I think so.
Yeah.
Things had changed when we got back home. Before I went in the service, if I went somewhere to get a job, my question was, what do you expect from me? What can I do? What do you expect from me? And after the war, when I came back and I worked again in the hospital, when we had people coming looking for jobs, their questions were, what are you going to do for me? Instead of what can I do for you in the job, but what do I get out of this? It was a very different attitude.
That was the employer asking you or the employee asking the employer?
The employer asking you or telling me what you expected to them to do, but they asked you, what are you going to do for me?
So they expected higher of you? That's good. If anything, what was the most rewarding thing to come out of your experience?
Well, that I had a profession in which I could help people, sick people, wounded people. Almost everybody, when I tell them that I flew over Mount Vesuvius in the nose of the plexiglass nose of a B-17, they're usually more interested in that than anything else I did.
So, looking back, do you see World War II as a defining moment in your life? If so, in what ways?
Well, it was an unusual experience. In the ordinary course of life, in a small hotel, and in an apartment house, and in a school that had been a children's school, and all the toilets were down close to the floor, and everything was on a much smaller scale.
Yeah. Did you ever have any limited rations, or were you ever short of anything, or was it all very well stocked?
We were very well fed.
Did you ever run out of any medical supplies? Or were you all good in that too?
No. So everything in this country was geared to serve war.
Yeah. What are your more memorable experiences from the war?
Well, in June of 1944, when ships had come from England over to North Africa, we got many servicemen, patients from the landing, and they were the ones who were wrapped up in bandages. They looked like the Michelin Man, you know. In fact, they were mostly covered with bandages, except for their faces, unless their faces were injured.
Do you have any, really, was there any, a moment that was, a really positive moment that you remember more than anything? More than any other moment?
Well, I think it was getting the D-Day casualties from the invasion from England, when the American or Allied troops came over. And we had set up what we called a triage point, TRIAGE, where it just means sorting, and the patients were sorted, and the ones that needed immediate help were sent immediately to surgery, and the ones who needed less help were, the ones who needed immediate care were given precedence.
Yeah.
And it went on down the line. And that's when the nurses all wanted to work overtime. But in the interest of their safety, and we made them stay on their regular 7 or 8 hour shifts, so that nobody got completely tired out.
Yep.
Which made sense.
Yeah. Was there any, what was, of all of the experiences, do you remember one that's, a pleasant experience that you remember more than anything else?
Well, I can't remember one incident, but, you did your work every day, and you had things to do, and you had to do them. And I had to see that the nurses did what they were supposed to do, because that was the chief nurse. That was my job.
Did any of your stations ever get shell bomb from
No,
the fighters?
no.
Okay. That's good. Let's see. Have you ever seen any wartime movies from this that were filmed presently but about then?
Well, what did I see? What movie did I see? Something about Private Ryan?
Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
Did you find it hard to watch that, or
No.
you think it held true to history?
It was pretty true, I think.
Yeah. What is the closest you ever came to the enemy?
The closest I ever came to the enemy was when we got enemy patients. You know, the Germans from on June 4th were in, where were they? Well, anyway.
Yeah, knock at your door.
Yeah, would you answer the door and see who's there?
Hi.
I'm having an interview right now.
Okay, I can come back. You're all set, hon?
Yes,
I'll be back later.
thank you.
And you got POWs in your camps. Is there anybody that couldn't treat them because they were the enemy, or did they just treat them anyway because it was their job?
They did their job. And they were much better off being POWs in a unit like ours than they would have been wherever they were before they came as POWs, because they were treated very well.
Okay. How was the food?
The food was very good.
Good. Did you keep in contact with any of the nurses that you met while in service?
Well, I did for a long time, but they're mostly gone. I think, as a matter of fact, the ones I kept in contact with are all gone. You know, World War II nurses and soldiers are dying off at a very fast rate. You won't find very many 99-year-olds.
How did you feel toward the enemy then?
Well, I didn't like the Japanese at all, although we didn't have any contact. In the theater we were in the ETO, European Theater of War. We had no contact with the Japanese, but I thought they were a dastardly bunch of people.
How do you feel about them now?
Well, how long can you sustain a feeling like that? You know, things change, the world changes.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to fight anyone at this point. Excuse me. Hello? Good morning. Phil, I can't talk to you right now. I'm having an interview. Okay, bye-bye. That's a cousin, a nephew of mine, who calls me every Saturday from Wichita, Kansas.
Oh.
He's my youngest sister's oldest son. And he sort of looks at me as a surrogate mother because his mother died.
Did you ever get married after the war?
Yes, that's in there, beyond where you read.
Oh.
In here. Yeah, oh yes, I got married. I married one of the best things that happened after World War II was the GI Bill of Rights, which gave returning soldiers and nurses, anybody who'd been in war, a chance to go to school with full tuition pay. And I got my Bachelor of Arts degree, Bachelor of Science degree in nursing, and I met my husband. He was getting his master's degree. So we did get married.
Cool. Did you have any kids?
No.
Oh.
We made 12 trips to Europe after the war because we didn't have any kids to put through school.
Was he in the service as well?
He was in the service, but he never got overseas because he had a trick knee. And there's his picture over there. And every time they got to some place where there was a possibility that he would be sent overseas, a voice would come out saying, "Frentzos fall out." So he wasn't allowed to go because his knee had a trick knee.
Did you return, when you came back to the United States after the war, were you still a nurse or did you do anything else?
Oh, I was always a nurse.
Did you work any hospitals in this area?
Not really in this area. I worked in a hospital in Newport, Rhode Island.
When did you move up here?
In 1994.
That's the year I was born. Where were you born?
I was born in a little town not far from here. I'm going to go on this thing. Thurman, New York. You must know where Thurman is. It's south of Warrensburg. It's in Warren County.
Yeah, I think I know where Warrensburg is, yeah.
Well, Thurman is south of Warrensburg. Maybe you don't know. Warren County is the largest county in the state of New York. Did you know that?
Yeah, I thought it was Washington, but
You thought what?
Washington County was, because it's not a country.
Warren County is the largest county.
When is your birthday?
September 20th.
What year?
1912. 9/20/12. September 20th, 1912. It's on there. I put it on there.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Is there anything that you would, if someone asked you, like, tell me about the war, like, what would you tell them?
It's pretty hard to just tell somebody in a couple of sentences about the war. One thing that I said at the end of this blurb that you read is that we were always treated very well. The nurses were really treated extremely well, which wasn't true in the Pacific Theater.
How would you describe the war in if you could describe it in one word, what would you probably say?
pretty hard to describe a war with one word. I wouldn't have missed serving in it. I was very happy that I was able to serve in the war.
Were you trained, like what kind of training did you go through?
To serve in the war?
Yeah.
Well, I went to nursing school in the hospital school of nursing, but it wasn't specifically for the war. It was for my career in nursing. I didn't have any special training for the war. Just as I was a nurse, and I was expected to act like a nurse and be a nurse, to practice my profession.
Did your either of your sisters ever go on to be nurse?
I did what?
Did your sisters ever be nurses?
Both of my sisters were nurses.
Did they work, or were they in the service too?
No. They were both married and had families. Although that doesn't stop people from going in now.
Were the brothers that were in service, were they younger or older?
One sister was older and one was younger.
What about your brothers?
My brothers were all younger than I was. Quite a bit younger.
So how old were you when you went into the service for the war?
29, I think.
Do you have any photographs did they like take pictures of you before you went in service like they would for a serviceman?
I don't have very many pictures. If you look at that, that's now, but in there's a picture taken of me that was done. It was a sketch done by one of my patients in 1941, and I was still in Tennessee, and I was the chief nurse.
Let's move it in. Sure. It's on the video of his video. Do you want this back on the chair, or do you want this back on the chair, or?
Yeah, back on the chair. That picture of me now, that photographer has been here and he's done another picture. That one was taken about 3 months ago, I think. And he just took pictures last week or a couple of weeks ago. And those pictures, he's taking pictures of service people who are still alive. And eventually, they're all going to be in a museum somewhere.
Oh, neat. Our teacher's actually trying to work on forming a book from everybody's stories, which I think is very neat. So I noticed this, you do paint?
I did those in the 1950s.
Very good.
This one is the last one I did. And I did that one here. The vase of daisies.
Do you find it hard to talk about the deeper details about the war, or does it, yeah.
Well, no, I don't find it difficult to talk about the details. Except, it's been a long time, the memories sort of fade. And you remember when you were 6 years old?
No.
Well, that's kind of like the lifespan.
Okay, well, I don't really have any further questions, so, well, thank you very much.
Well, you're entirely welcome. You know, being interviewed at this age and this long after I was in the war, I really can't think that I do you a great service because I have forgotten so much.
Yeah, you told me a lot, so it's very good, yeah. Okay, is there anything further that you would like anybody to know or discuss or anything?
No, I can't. I'm going to look at this gift now.
Okay.
Oh, isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice. I can use that now
Yeah.
because it's cold in our dining room. Oh, that's very pretty. Do you like to knit?
Yeah, I like to make people stuff for Christmas and everything.
I used to do that too. I remember one year I made argyle socks for all the men in my family. From little wee ones to big ones.
Yeah, I don't know how to make socks yet, but I can make scarves. Okay, so.
With socks, my mother made mittens for war. She made lots of mittens.
Oh, well.
And I know how to make mittens, but I don't like to. I made gloves one time. Those are difficult to make because you have long fingers and you know. But I crocheted that thing up under the television. I crocheted.
No, I don't know how to crochet.
And actually, I never liked to knit very well, although I did a lot of knitting. But in late years, I couldn't do it because I couldn't throw them. You know, my hand, I have arthritis. I've had arthritis since I was about 27 years old. And I'm not, what has left me with is stiffness.
Mm.